Hello students, this is your tutor Elizabeth Marshall from iTTV bringing you another segment of PMR English. I hope that you've been good. Let's start with grammar. Today we're looking at something called articles. Please do not be afraid of the word, it is something you have encountered before. Yes, let's look at the articles today. Articles belong to a group of words called determiners. This is a review lesson, meaning you have done this before. So let's look at the next slide. The words and n are also known as indefinite article, whereas the word there is referred to as the definite articles. Now this is where I explain. What is the meaning of indefinite? That means it's not something that has exact parameters. Let me simplify that for you. Maybe it's not so much in a rule as indefinite. When you say something that is definite, you are meaning the particular. That's what I want you to refer to, particular. And indefinite is not as particular as the definite. The indefinite article or an is used to introduce words of a more general nature, which do not refer to anything specific. Remember students, that you have to think of the particular, whether anything is specific or not, when you think about the articles and whether you want to use or an or the. Or an is used with singular count nouns. Let us recall what is singular and plural. Singular is from the word single, meaning one. Plural means more than one. Let's look at the example. The burglar used a screwdriver to pry open the door. The burglar used a screwdriver, meaning a general sort of a screwdriver, not a particular one. To pry open means to force open. So the use of the word for screwdriver is correct. The second example, he is an accountant. Now we use the word an accountant simply because the in the accountant is a vowel. Let's look at an now, when we should use the word an. An is used with words that begin with vowels. And what are the vowels? A, E, I, O, U. As a refresher, let me remind you that all letters in the alphabet that are not vowels are consonants, or with a vowel sound. I'll come on to elaborate about that in the next slide. The silent H. What do we mean by the silent H? You will see that sometimes you will have the spelling of the H. That means the letter H is present, but it is not sounded. For example, in an hour. If you think or listen to yourself pronounce the word R, you realize that you're actually not saying or pronouncing the H, and hence we say that is the silent H. What you actually are pronouncing is our, O-U-R. In that instance, that particular rule applies. Anything that sounds like a vowel, you use the N, and our. Another example there for you, an hourglass. Very clearly, it is spelled H-O-U-R-G-L-A-S-S. Pronunciation is something else. It is hour, O-U-R. In this case, again, the vowel sound is more important than the spelling, in which case you use an. A third example, an honorable guest, an honorable guest. The H is almost silent, so you use an instead of a. I hope that is very clear for you, students. Another exception to rule is the vowel U in university. Sounds like the word you when you spelled Y-O-U. For example, again, which was given to you earlier, a university. You say a university. A uniform. A European city, EU. The vowels EU in European sound like the word you. Because it sounds like the word you would use a European city. That might be a difficult word for you. It is eucalyptus. It's a kind of tree found in certain countries like Australia. Eucalyptus. The word is eucalyptus. So you use a eucalyptus tree. Going on, let's look at the definite article. Earlier on, I had explained to you definite means the specific. Remember that rule, because that will help you choose whether you should use an a, an, or the. You use the before a noun when you're talking about something or someone definite, and people know which thing or person you are referring to. You will find the explanation further on. Look at this example to illustrate my point. The man in the blue shirt is my uncle. It is this particular man that you're talking to, as opposed to a man in the blue shirt. You are saying the man because you are talking about one particular person. Not any man, but the one in a blue shirt. That should do it for you, explaining the rule clearly for you. Another example, Grandpa is in the kitchen. Specifying this time not a person but a particular place. Not in the bathroom but in the kitchen, in the kitchen. Not anywhere else but the kitchen. I think the puppy is under the bed. Talking about a particular bed. Nowhere else but under the bed. I repeat, nowhere else but under the bed. Now for the sound of the. Do not be confused, students. It's just that at times we need to sound the in a different way. Most times it is the as you normally use it, the way you hear people saying it, but at other specific times it is the. I will explain. An explanation there for you. The E in the has a short sound before words beginning with a consonant, like the following words. I will emphasize on the pronunciation, but you're not supposed to emphasize it every time you speak, otherwise it might sound a little funny. But remember, my pronunciation is for emphasis. The. Let's look at an example. The nurse. Example number 1. The sitting room, because S is a consonant, so the is pronounced the instead of the. The dentist, the show, the television, the sofa, the computer. And let's look at when we would pronounce it differently. When you use the before a word beginning with a vowel, it has a different sound. You say it with a long, as I said it before, a long E. The, like the sound in me or B or T. It is a longer one. E, you stretch it instead of the. It also sounds like the letter D. Let's look at an example. The umbrella. Another one for you. The exit. If you've always been saying the exit, remember the next time to say the exit. The apple. The orang-utan. The igloo. There you are. Instances when you use or sound the differently, longer with the. Uncountable nouns. What are they? Uncountable means cannot be counted. And remember, nouns are names for people, places, and things. Articles with uncountable nouns. Uncountable nouns are always singular. Remember, singular meaning single. They are words for things you cannot count. I will give you an example of what some of the words are. Water is thirst quenching. Meaning of that sentence first. It helps you quench your thirst. Meaning, when you drink water, you don't feel thirsty anymore. So water is an uncountable noun. Note, you say not a water or the water. You leave it alone. You don't use or the before it. You just use water as it is, leaving out or the, because it is an uncountable noun, because it is something that cannot be counted. We cannot live without food. You won't say we cannot live without a food or the food. What you should say is we cannot live without food. We get milk from cows. Again, you don't say a milk, and milk, the milk. You just say we get milk from cows. Paper is made from wood. Paper, you start the sentence without and or there. You may instead use some and any with uncountable nouns. Remember those? Some and any. There's some juice in the fridge. Saying a little, referring to a little, some. How can you have any doubt? Whether there's any doubt at all. How can you have any doubt? Wipe your feet. I don't want any mud on the floor. That's a sort of an instruction. So wipe your feet. I don't want any mud on the floor. Alright students, let's review then what we have done so far. I've taught you when you use when you use and then we've gone on to look at the. I've also spoken to you at length at when you would use the and when you would sound the. With that, we come to a complete lesson on articles and such. So students, we come to the end of our lesson on PMR English. This is your tutor Elizabeth Marshall saying goodbye.